Hi, welcome to the first ever Q&A video that we're going to be doing. It's incredible. I mean, we've hit such an incredible milestone of 25,000 subscribers. I can't thank you guys enough. So I think it was only appropriate for us to do something that has been requested. We're going to start with the Q&A, man. Let's jump in. Abrion asks, how did you come up with the idea for your channel? So, well, no, so a long time ago. We're talking back in 2011, 2012 maybe. I did make a YouTube channel, but it was to hopefully start, what a lot of like gamers were back then. It was to be like a let's play series. But I was working full time. I didn't really have the time or the money or the hardware really to dedicate towards doing that kind of stuff. So it didn't really I made like one video and it didn't really get off the ground. Nothing really happened. I couldn't really devote proper time and resources to it, so it just kind of fell dead. And then well over the years, I think back in 2017, I decided to make a new YouTube channel in the hopes I could kind of revive the idea now that I have better hardware and I was a little more well equipped and stuff like that. Um, I did kind of give that a go, which I mean, it didn't really do amazingly. I still didn't really know what I was doing. And before I knew it, like just I think within a period of time of just on that channel, I realized, oh, actually, there's like some really cool stories that I'm reading that not a lot of people are covering, and I was like, oh, you know what, maybe I should cover one. We'll just just to kind of put it out there and see what happens. And so Gregory 88 and Doppelganger, some of the earliest ones I've done, it just kind of came about because I thought, this is something that not a lot of people seem to have access to, nor have they found, and I just thought I'd give something a go because I like spooky stuff as well. And funnily enough, at first, didn't make a difference, didn't do jack shit for the channel, and I was like, oh, okay, well, basically, no matter what I was doing, nothing was really working. Which is it's just fair enough. I didn't really do a lot of clickbait kind of stuff. I wasn't exactly the most charismatic or entertaining dude. I mean, I like to think I am, but not everybody does. And I was just wrong place, wrong time kind of things. But before I knew it, I mean, it was only just recently. Like we're talking November of 2023. There was an algorithm change in YouTube, and literally within that same week, my stories just took off. I only had like maybe 3 stories at that point. It was Gregory 88, it was Doppelganger, and it was Haunted Cabin. But they just took off, and that was it. And before I knew it, I was like, oh my god. I was like, something's happened. So I found out obviously the algorithm change had been made based on percentage viewed and stuff like that. I'm not gonna get into the semantics, but it was insane, and I was just like, oh my god, well this is great because I just finished working a contract in IT at a hospital in Leeds, and I was like, okay, well, this is kind of prime time for me to. I was on holiday at the time, so it was just a real random thing to happen. And then because it wasn't like a small spike, it was like an insane spike. Like I couldn't even imagine hitting such a thing. And I was like, well, this is clearly what I need to do. This is what my next step should be. I should devote time and effort to covering more stories. Let's do that. And that was literally it. It was just because, I mean, how do you describe that? The right time, out of the blue, conveniently shortly after I'd ended work, I was on holiday. This insane opportunity just pops up, and I mean, look at where we've got now. I mean, we went from because I was still less than 1,000 subscribers back then, and now look at me, 25,000, and still going. It's just an unbelievable journey. So, great question. Great question. Let's see what's next. Timby asks, "What was your favorite story so far that you covered?" So, I've covered a fair few stories now. Quite a lot of them based on Reddit. Some of them based on like various stories and like authors and whatnot. And then obviously my most popular ones are the Twitter-based ones. So when it comes to Twitter, I mean, obviously, I think Gregory 88 will always have a big place in my heart because it was pretty much the first story I ever really covered. Because I just found it to be so strange and unique, and I mean, on Twitter of all places, it's just not where you find scary things. But I was wrong. It's just a new medium. It's well, not new anymore, but you know what I mean. The idea was just unheard of, and so people didn't find these things there. So that was exciting. It's always gonna have a good place in my heart. But I think at the moment, now that I finished Ted the Caver and I really truly understand that story, it's I think that's got to be my favorite at the moment, just because it's steeped in so much truth. The fact that it is two guys in Utah region. They're avid cavers. They always love caving, and this isn't the story of the guy who gets trapped in a cave and essentially dies and stuff. This isn't that story. These are just two guys who they want to explore a virgin passage. They've been working on it for ages and stuff like that, and mysterious things happen. Basically, it really creeps them out and things. And it's just such an exciting and cool story because, like I said, it's steeped in a lot of truth, and it's just a lot of fun. But it's just a caving journal. It's just something that they wanted to keep their family up to date with. I'm not going to spoil anything else, but yeah, that's probably my favorite at the moment. Good question. Ginger Radio asks favorite song slash band, also favorite movie. So I've always been bad at picking favorites, just because I like a lot of things, and I find it hard to rank something as like the top. In a few rare occasions, I do. Now, when it comes to favorite song slash band, um, I've got one band that I will always listen to. I'm always happy to listen to, and I would say they would be my favorite, and that's the Red Hot Chili Peppers. But yet again, I also super enjoy Foo Fighters. I would always listen to them as well. So I'd say it's kind of a toss up between the two. When it comes to favorite song on the Chili Pepper side, if it's going to be like one of their more popular songs, I would have to say it's called Black Summer. It's great. It's really fun. If it's on their less obscure, well, less popular side, like more obscure, I'd have to go with Even You Brutus. That song is just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. On the Foo Fighters side, I'd probably have to go with. I mean, a lot of people would go for The Pretender, which I totally get it. That's such a great song. But what was one I've heard recently that I've really gotten into? Because I used to really rate The Sky Is the Neighborhood. I really like that one, but now it's oh god, hang on, I've got to find the name of this one because I love this song by them now. It's so good. Hang on. Arlandria, that's the one. Foo Fighters Arlandria. Oh my god. I listened to that song like 2 weeks ago and I was like, no, I'm hooked. Such a great song. And when it comes to favorite movie, now yet again, it's always going to be like an ever shifting list. But I've actually done a podcast with my dad, and we love to cover movies. It's one of our big passions. We both enjoy a lot of films, and we'll be able to digest and talk about them. Not that we do that an awful lot, but we used to. And one of the things we talked about was our top 10 films. So conveniently, I've got a list for this, and it's a little all over the place. I do apologize, but my current top is still it's going to be the sequence of well, it's the franchise of Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, which obviously a lot of people say is a cop out. I understand that, but if you've seen these in the theaters like I did when I was younger, it just kind of like blows you away. And I mean, it's just stuck with me ever since. I've watched the extended editions. I mean, like I just love them. I could just any day of the week if somebody's like, "Hey, do you want to watch Lord of the Rings?" I'd be like, "Yeah, okay." I will throw away my entire day. I don't care. Let's do it. So it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. Good question. Nice one, Ginger Radio. Let's see. We've got Zayden. How do you choose what you cover, and how long do your videos take to make? Now that's a great question. So when it comes to the typical narrations I now do, where I kind of just try to give you videos every week, a lot of that is very simple. It's like I try to find stories that are not insanely long, but not very short. But it's typically through Reddit because they're more it's more readily available, and usually I can talk to the authors directly and kind of just ask for permissions, and usually we can work something out, and it just works really well. It's just a fantastic way to find them. I do have to filter through because there's tons of stories on there. There's always new stories every day, but the problem is not every story is good. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm not saying those stories don't deserve their time in the sun, but I can't cover every single thing that goes on there. Plus, if I don't even get permission, I can't cover it anyway, which is fair enough. I'm not arguing that point. And there are plenty of stories which I've not even heard from the authors, and I'm not about to cover them without permission because you can get in a lot of trouble. You can get things taken down. You get a bad reputation. There's just tons of things, and I think it's just disrespectful. I want to show these things the true respect they deserve, and I want to try to help put these things out in the light because not only does it help me, it helps them. And I think growth is a two-way street, especially when it's something like this. I mean, I'm just reading the stories. I'm bringing them to people, but I didn't make them, you know. But I do think they're good. That's exactly why I want to cover them. That's my 2 cents. So uh yeah. And how long do they take to make? So that one really depends. When it comes to my shorter ones that kind of go out every single week, I can usually get them out within maybe 2 to 3 hours. It takes a little bit of time because usually I pick a bunch of them in advance. I've kind of got a nice schedule going where I'm like, I've got stories planned for the next like 2 months. I've got a good little thing going. But on any given day, I'll kind of see what's the next video I need to make. I'll obviously read it, I'll get all the stuff together, and then I'll go and edit it. And like I said, that could take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. But usually in a day, if I'm really at it, I can probably make 2 stories, no problem. They're the typical ones. When it comes to a big story, like yet again a great example is Ted the Caver, that takes a lot longer. It takes an awful lot longer because it is a bigger thing. And even though a lot of it is just me reading and kind of putting that together, I do a lot of like continuous recording, so it just makes it easier for me to kind of pick up from anywhere and go on from there. And then I take the snippets out, which seems to work. But yet again, it's just time consuming because I have to listen to the whole thing through, and just kind of trim it as I go and play with it just to make sure things are acceptable. Obviously I can't make them perfect. I'd love to be much better at video editing than I am, but I'm only so good. I'm only so good. I'm not even going to deny that. But Ted the Caver took me, I'd say, maybe 70 hours altogether. Because there's also the investigation side, and that took a little bit of time as well. But yeah, that was quite a big one. But I'm really glad I did it because it's such a fascinating story. Good question. Next up, Zayden also asks, "Do you have any tips for people who want to make a horror story like the ones you cover?" Yes, I do actually. So, as I mean, if you've seen a lot of my videos, I cover a wide variety of whether it be full on scary or a different kind of scary, maybe more psychological or just a more mental kind of thing, or typical. It just really depends. Horror, scary, however you want to define it, it can cover a vast array of different topics and subjects, and it can cause fear in a number of ways. So if you would like to make your own little stories, whether it be small, big, you have a grand project in mind, what have you, I 100% say you should absolutely give it a go. Even if you don't know exactly how to come about it, if you just start putting things down, maybe on paper, even little snippets, ideas, and stuff, before you know it, you might be able to start coming up with things, and then it just comes to you. Now, if you don't really have the production value that you want to be able to give certain things, like let's say you're working on a big project, you want something that you have in mind to be grand, like Weird Birds, for example, where you've got props, or you use CGI, or you do videos, you do whatever. You know what I mean? Like a bigger thing. If you don't feel like you have that capability right now, then just make sure you make some notes of what you would like to do with it. Maybe put it to the side for when it's maybe a little more feasible in the future, because early on you might feel like I might never get to do it. But trust me when I say you have to start somewhere if you want to be able to achieve much bigger and greater things. I mean, the only reason I've come so far is because I've just taken a leap and I've decided to jump into kind of whatever. And I get the feeling I am slowly building up to be able to work on bigger projects that I would actually like to work on as well, just because I'm achieving certain goals along the way. Even if they're smaller milestones, even if it's a smaller story, sometimes you have to just start with something else and just see how you do. If you have a couple of story ideas and you want to see just what other people think and maybe get a bit of criticism, or feedback, things to help you out that aren't offensive and mean, which is important. I think hatred and negativity is not really the way to go when it comes to criticism and feedback. It needs to be more constructive. You can always join our Discord. There, I've got a forum where people are allowed to put up their own stories, and people can read them, people can comment on them, and if it's really good, I might even cover it. But seriously though, you should absolutely give certain things a go. If you feel like it's something you want to do, I 100% say go for it. If you don't know all the details yet, if you need a little bit more time to flesh things out, that's okay. Doesn't have to be done in a day. Take your time. Patience is important, as well as ideas. They can just come and go. You never know. But I do find if you really want to do something, start putting information or anything down in writing, whether it be on an internet document, whether it be a notepad and pen. The fact is, if you put some of it down, you'll be able to come back to it. It'll help. I find it really, really does. Great question. This one comes from Foof. This is actually two. I'm speaking for the community. Oh, are you now? The ambassador of the people. I love it, Foof. One, do fish get thirsty? I've answered this like 5 times now, Foof. But I still haven't asked any fish because I don't really live near any. I live near some ducks, but I don't think they're gonna talk to me. I would imagine that they because I mean they have to yet again. I mean they have to eat, right? And because they have to eat, they must also have to drink. But I mean, do they just filter in through their gills? They must filter in through their gills or something like that. I don't know. I really don't know. But do they get thirsty? I would say maybe. But maybe they're always able to filter through the water that they're actually in, and that takes care of that. I don't know. I feel like we really need to talk to a master of fish. Somebody must know. You know what? Let me Google it. We're gonna do the due diligence right now, Foof. Hang on. Do fish get thirsty? Let me just not mistype it. Okay. You know what? It is unlikely that fish have such a driving force. Fish have gills that allow them to breathe oxygen dissolved in the water. Water enters the mouth, passes over the gills, and exits the body through a special opening. Well, I didn't know that. This keeps an adequate amount of water in their bodies, and they don't feel thirsty. Okay. Even though they don't feel thirsty, I think the fact is they capably could become thirsty if they weren't in water. You know what I mean? Yeah, I guess. Freshwater fish don't actively drink water because it dilutes their blood and bodily fluids. Okay. Well, the good news, Foof, is if you really want to know further than that, there are videos online. Look at that, SciShow Kids on YouTube. You can even do that, man. That's great. I'm gonna make sure you get that screenshot so you can see that. Need those other screenshots too for the video. Awesome. And then question 2, is it normal to eat spoiled frozen pizzas every day? It's still just the weirdest thing, because does that mean that you had the pizzas spoil first and then you freeze them? Because I mean, if you've got them, I mean, unless you're talking like freezer burn, if something is frozen, it cannot spoil while it is frozen. It can spoil while it's not frozen and then you freeze it. But yet again, no, you should not be eating anything spoiled. Ultimately, that's the down hard question. Spoiled food, just don't eat. 100%. Don't do it. You'll get sick. Guaranteed. You will have a bad time, whether you know it or not. So don't do it. Always funny though. Thank you, Foof. Let's see. Ko-Chang. Ko-Chang? I'm gonna say Ko-Chang. I could be mispronouncing. I apologize. Nate, so tomorrow is Q&A video, right? Another tomorrow. Well, I only have 1 to 3 questions. Well, let's do it. How old am I? So I am 32 years old. Shocker. Can you tell us about something funny that happened at your school when I was a kid? Yes. So this was an embarrassing thing, but it's also something that kind of helped shape me into more of a better person, I believe. So back in ninth grade, I would have been maybe like 14 years old, I think. Something like that. But we had the opportunity to join clubs and things like that, as people do. And I really wanted to go to the anime club because I was into video games and anime. Like, who isn't as a teenager? You know what I mean? They're just cool things. And but I was also heavily into music, so I also wanted to join the school's marching band. It was like a big thing. But the problem is they both had their event on the same time at the same day, and I was like, oh shit, well that's not good. But because I was quite new to the school, I was like, well, I don't know how hard I'm gonna go into music and stuff, but I told them that I would go, but that I couldn't go, the marching band side, and then I went to the anime club instead. Didn't tell them. I didn't tell them. But the problem is, when the anime club got out and I was waiting to be picked up from school, the entire marching band went by, including the director. And they all saw me and they all knew that I wanted to do marching band, but I decided not to, and I went to do this instead. And they were quite disappointed, and I felt quite embarrassed because I mean it's over 40 people that saw me, and it was just terrible. And I remember the band director was like, "Look, I mean, if you don't want to take this seriously, then that's fine. You don't have to, But even just those little words, I was just like, oh man, that's ouch kind of stuff. But then so that was pretty heavily embarrassing. The fact that so many people saw, and it just kind of made me feel like a bad person. But then the next day I decided to redeem myself, and in band class, I asked the director if I could go up on the podium and just apologize to everybody. And so that's what I did. And you know what? Ever since then, I decided if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And so I'd never miss another marching band. And, that was a lot of fun. We got to do a lot of amazing performances, went to a lot of schools. We did the Konica Minolta Gator Bowl, I think it was, down in Florida. We got to go to Universal Studios and stuff. It was just a great time. So honestly, I mean, I totally recommend it. If you're going to go for something, you need to absolutely go for something. Sometimes an embarrassing thing can be an important life-changing moment. So definitely learn from things. It's a big one. It's a real big one. Good question. Also, will the video stream? Yes or no? Well, hopefully this answers your question. This is a video. Thank you. All right. We've got from Poopin' Myself, who also goes by Avery now. How many subscribers, usernames have you remembered? So they'd love to try to catch me with this because a long time, well, I say a long time ago, like 2-3 months ago, when we started really streaming and that kind of really caught off and did really well. There was a little group of them that really wanted me to kind of remember them for whenever I get big and famous, which I still don't think I'm going to get. I think I'm going to get to maybe a good level. I don't think I'm going to go fucking exploding, but who knows? I could be wrong. And they want first of all they want me to know that they're on my list, which I do have. I do have a list because I wrote it down, as I told them I would. Which it's on one of these pages. Hang on. Oh yeah, there we go. I'm not going to read it out because I could do you one better. You ready for this? There's something really powerful. So on YouTube, they've got obviously the back end side where I work. It's called the YouTube Studio, and in YouTube Studio, I'll go ahead and just show you. I can see recent activity. I can also do lifetime. I can do specific times or whatever. But what I can do, I'll show you. I'm not going to show you the full crazy thing, but if I go, I'm going to show you this little screenshot where I can see every single subscriber, and when they subscribed, I can see even their own subscriber counts, which not really relevant, but but I can see when people subscribe, which really helps me keep track of names and stuff like that. So, yeah. Do I remember every single name that comes through? I mean, I remember the ones I need to, but I don't have to remember every single one because YouTube does that for me. Is it a cop-out? Maybe. Is it cheating? Maybe. But you know what? I'm using the tools at my disposal. I don't feel too bad about that. Also, this isn't pertaining to any particular person who's asked it, because I've been asked it by tons of people, and I can't keep track of all the people who've asked me. When is Weird Birds Part 3? Right? In some way, shape, or form, that question is asked. When is Weird Birds Part 3? Why aren't there more Weird Birds? So, let me explain. Weird Birds is made by a lovely guy called Archisuchus over on Twitter. It's his creation. It's his baby. It's his story. If he has not made more parts, I cannot cover them. I only bring them to you as a narration and a little fun video, because it's something that not a lot of people do. They don't go on Twitter to check out these things themselves, which is fair enough. I'm here to make it a little more digestible for you. I'm here to bring it to you. But, I know he is working on something Weird Birds related. I don't know if it's particularly part 3. I know he's doing a video project as well. He's doing a lot of things, which I'm so happy for him, I mean, if anything, the fact that he's able to do things he's passionate about, that's great, man. That is so, so great. You should absolutely be striving for whatever drives you. And so, I don't know. I do not know when it's coming. I can only make a video when it's done. I'm not going to give you half a thing. That just doesn't seem right, I want to give you a full complete picture of something. Cuz then it just makes sense, cuz otherwise I'll have to make like god knows how many videos that could be like 20 minutes long of the same thing, and I'm like, that just doesn't feel right. You want the whole slice, you want the whole pie. You don't just want a slice. That's what I was trying to say. I'm glad I remember to put this in. I think that's all the questions I've got at the moment. Awesome. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I really hope you guys have learned a few more things about me. I really hope I've satisfied some answers. I probably haven't, but I don't really care. I do care. I care greatly. Thank you so much. I mean, this has been such an amazing journey to go on. I'm excited to see where the rest of this year goes. The rest of this year, I can't even imagine. That's incredible. That's so incredible. I mean, we got a sponsor now. That's so cool. Hopefully, I can get a couple more as well. I need to maybe try to get a bit better at making the ad videos. But it's all a learning journey. It's all part of the course. I'm happy to go on it, and I'm happy to see what comes next. This has been a lot of fun, guys. Thank you so very much. If you would like to ask some questions for another Q&A video, you can pop them down in the comments below. I'll happily pop them on a list, no problem. Or you can go to my Discord, which is also link in the description below, and I've got a forum post there about questions and answers. You can go ahead and just pop all the questions you want in there. You can hang out with like-minded people. We can all have a good little time together. Sounds like a great thing. Wow, it's been quite a few months. I can't even imagine what it'll be like in a year. Cannot even imagine. I'm excited to see, though. Let's see where we go, huh? See you for whatever's next. Take care, guys.